In my opinion, a society that aims for equality before liberty will end up with neither equality nor liberty. Now, that conclusion is based both on evidence from history, across history, and also, I believe, on reasoning which, if you try to follow through the implications of aiming first at equality, will become clear to you.
If someone asked you, would you rather that everyone be equal or everyone be free? What would you say? Now, if you live in a great country with lots of prosperity, security, laws, fair and impartial institutions, great education programs, welfare, free healthcare, a minimum wage, pretty much guaranteed survival no matter what you do, you'd probably pick freedom. After all, when we go shopping, we all like to pick out what we like, not have the grocery store pick it for us. Freedom is the best policy in this case because everyone can do what they please, and it works for them. Now, on the other hand, if you lived in a backwoods country with primitive infrastructure, little order, no laws, no security from day to day, corrupt enforcement, and constantly changing leaders, you might be apt to say, well, I would rather equality. You in this scenario would be normal and natural to say this, because it is the natural human tendency to pick what's best for you, at least on the surface. You'll leave whatever is left over for everyone else. After all, nobody buys apples at the grocery store, taking the worst ones, thinking somebody else deserves the best ones. You all take the ones that you like the most. My first point is the problem with this choice of freedom or equality. Of course, I'm biased towards freedom, just like the name of this channel, is that just as Milton Friedman so eloquently said, when you choose equality, you don't get either of these. This is not simply a problem in math where we can minus one side of the equation and increase the other. Those who claim equality is more important than liberty deserve neither. My first point has to do with liberty and equality, and which one comes first, really. I think everyone knows the story of the golden egg-laying goose. I'm going to butcher this, but these are in my own words. There once was a poverty-stricken farmer who was given a goose as a gift. The goose looked ordinary, but the first morning the farmer found it had laid a golden egg. The farmer waited, and each day the goose would lay another golden egg. One day the owner became impatient, cut the goose open, thinking that gold can't come from nowhere, that he might have all the gold at once. In the process, he obviously killed the goose. Not only did he find no gold inside, for now it was dead, and just an ordinary goose, but it could no longer lay, and the farmer was again thrust into abject poverty. So what is the moral of this story? I think it's best summed up by the phrase, "Don't bite the hand that feeds." Liberty. In this story, which in a second I'll talk more about, the poor farmer is all of us. The goose is freedom. The golden egg, prosperity. See, prosperity, like the golden egg, comes from seemingly insignificant circumstances. The goose would eat ordinary grain, but it would lay golden eggs. Just the same, a small convenience store owner may sell newspapers and ice cream bars, but these small sales add up and can support him and his entire family by paying dividends each day. Just like the goose, there's nothing special about selling things in a convenience store, but this free exchange of value that happens between people is crucial for prosperity. A great example against this is taxation. The extreme example of this, communism, is when we repossess other people's income in the name of equality, and we in essence kill the goose that lays our golden eggs. That freedom to choose is what got us prosperity in the first place, and we have now killed the goose. Point number 2. If you say, I'm not happy with the results of this free market capitalist system, so everyone needs to be forced to do what I want. It's like if a child brings a toy to daycare with him, but another child sees it and wants it at playtime, so they decide to burn the school down. Do you understand, socialists, communists, journalists, that if you burn down the nursery of capitalism, nobody gets to play with anything? You don't simply get to take the toy away from someone else without their consent. That's literally called tyranny. Now, some may say the analogy is more like, you get to use the toy you brought sometimes, and I get to use your toy sometimes. Yes, that's called capitalism. We are free to do what we want to do. Some savvy capitalist may even come and sell you the exact toy that I have, but it won't be my toy, because that's mine. I have a right to it, just as you have a right to play with whatever toy you want, even if it's the same as mine, but it won't be mine. Besides, the people calling for all this socialism are usually on the higher echelons of society. They don't understand that by taking away my toy with socialism, they are forever dooming their posterity and everyone else's to constant shortages of toys. Socialism is not simply coercion. It means less stuff for everyone. See, the funny thing about these socialists and communists is they still benefit from the inventions of us capitalists, even if they dislike us, our principles, because the mechanism of invention is such that we never go backwards as a society. Even if you're a hermit that lives on mushrooms in the wilds of northern Alaska and never see other people, when you do choose to come back home, everyone has better phones, faster internet, and healthier food options, all for the same price or lower than before, without you having done anything. How is this possible? Coercion? Government planning? No, it all happens as a natural byproduct of freedom. That's the beauty of it. Point number 3 I borrow from the great George Orwell. When the pigs took over the farm in his classic political novel Animal Farm, representing fascists, he coined the phrase, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others." What better way to summarize equal when dictated by a tyrannical, oppressive, dictatorial government? If you think the government will ever, and I mean ever, be able to successfully equalize anything by force, you have another thing coming. The government can't even stop enraged college students from hitting each other on the head with statues, let alone stop them from tumbling the statues to begin with. The government and its workers are just people. If you want a good look at what communist equal society would look like, I invite you to look no further than your local slum. Why do I say this? Because more often than not, the housing is either partially or entirely paid for by the government. If you want to move into welfare housing, be my guest. But I suspect you probably won't be able to, because there will be a shortage. Interesting coincidence. Equal does not mean everyone is rich. It means bitter resentment, abject poverty, and suffering. For everyone. Because those who would normally excel need to be made examples of. And in order to make them quote-unquote equal, they would need to become slaves to the proletariat. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. Until then, this is Liberty and Freedom Independent Network, and I will see you in the next video.